What's going on YouTube? Titus here with a Master Duel video. Konami has announced the next event, the Neutral and Rare Festival. That's right, only Neutral and Rares, all SRs or Super Rares and Ultra Rares, URs are going to be banned completely, along with a couple other things. Konami actually sent out an official tweet about it with the announcement. They are going to ban self-DK. That will be a thing. You will not have to worry about self-DK anymore. No more getting into a duel and watching your opponent do stuff when you just want to try out the theme of the game. So, with that, they've also said that they're going to temper and alter a couple different cards. True Draco, the True King, Megaliths, Magispectors, Gene Raiders, Time Lords, Phantasm Spiral Dragon, and Tenus are all going to be kind of limited, semi-limited, or forbidden, apparently, according to their tweet. But I'm going to use this video to kind of describe a couple different things you can do, or some ideas if you're thinking of this thing, to do this event, and some generically like really good cards that are good for removal that you don't have to invest a lot into, and you can make to help you play through the game, because hand traps are not going to be a thing in this festival, because most of the hand traps are super rares and ultra rares. That also means draw cards. Most of the draw cards are going to be out of here. The only one I could think of is Allure of Darkness, but I don't believe it's going to be in there. I think it's not even in the game, apparently. Unless I can't spell. Oh no, this is filtered to neutrals and rares. So yeah, Allure of Darkness isn't in there as well. So there's not going to be a lot of cards to let you draw. All of the pots are going to be there, you know, Duality, Prosperity, Extravagance, all of those. So you're going to be relying on just building a good deck. And so some of my ideas here are listed, and I won't go over every single one in super detail, but kind of get your brain turning and maybe what I'll be playing. But let's talk about some of the generically good cards. I've talked about this in a Staples video, but we'll go over some of them if you're just now jumping into Master Duel. One of the best ones you probably remember from the good old playground days is Mystical Space Typhoon. This is going to be a rare. It's good for just a 1-for-1 on spell or trap removal. Going to be really helpful. If there's what we know, as people develop stuff and they notice that there's pretty good spells or traps that you want to get rid of, Mystical Space Typhoon is going to be really, really useful for just 1-for-1ing, popping a card that gets kind of in your way, basically. Book of Moon is Interruption. This card is really, really good. Target one face-up monster on the field, change that target to face-down position. This card is seen play in the modern format actually right now with the archetype called Fluwunderies. But interrupting decks that link summon, flipping something face down when it is face up, it can no longer be used as link material. So it's really helpful for just having that bit of interruption. And if you got to remember that this is going to have some consistency impacts on a lot of different decks. So if you have an interruption, it could really just stop your opponent completely. Another card we have here is the Forbidden Chalice. This is basically a cheaper imperm, but only on your turn. Because it is a quick play spell, you could only play it on your turn. But you target one face-up monster on the field, and then it gains 400 attack, but its effects are negated. So really kind of useful because it can be played whenever it wants to be on your turn. It doesn't have to, like imperm, you don't have to control any cards to play it down, but again, only on your turn, so you have to wait. If there's interruption, you can't stop your opponent from doing stuff on their turn unless you set it face down. If you're going first, then it's basically the same thing. So a pretty useful card for this archetype, and actually just a useful staple in general if you don't want to craft the imperms. Then we have Torrential Tribute. It's a board wipe. Really solid card. You've probably seen this in Eldritch if you've been playing in the rank ladders and stuff. A really, really useful piece of removal, and you might have to find a couple cards to fill your deck list anyway. And so this one can be really, really helpful for being an equalizer, as we call it. Regeki Break is an old tech. It's not great, I gotta say. It's technically a 2-for-1 removal, right? So Regeki Break is 1, the discard is 2, you get to destroy 1 card. So it's a 2-for-1. So it's a, you know, it's okay, but if you pair Regeki Break with a danger deck, it could be a little better because these cards will do something when they get discarded. And so then it actually kind of has a little bit of synergy there. So like, for instance, if you use Regeki Break and you discard Thunderbird, and then Thunderbird gets to pop a set card on your opponent's side of the field. So kind of useful for having that 2-for-2 exchange rather than having just a 2-for-1 exchange. So it could be useful in the right deck. I'm actually thinking of playing it and teching it, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Most of the Paleo cards are neutrals or rares. The hard part is that they're monsters, like the Xyz monsters that they go into, are supers and ultras, but like the actual general removal card, like Candina, which is the Book of Moon trap and then can summon itself, and then Deinamiscus, which is the banish, are just neutrals and rares. So they're actually pretty good to have as generic pieces of removal. They are just something that not only can be activated to be responsive to your opponent, but also something that can be summoned to your side of the field for, I believe these are rank 2s, yeah. So they can become 2s, or they can become tribute fodder if you want to do like a Monarch deck. Because some of the Monarchs are rares and neutrals, you know, like some of the Mega Monarchs, Thestalos the Mega Monarch, Mobius the Mega Monarch. These guys here, most of these are rares and neutrals. The better cards are not, but you do like a Megalith Monarch, or not a Megalith, sorry, a Monarch Paleozoic trap deck, and you can kind of have this synergy where you do the tribute with the trap cards. It could be pretty fun, to be quite honest with you. And then another cool tech is the Black Horn of Heaven. It's a counter trap. When your opponent would special summon exactly one monster, you negate the special summon and you destroy it. So it's an okay tech. It's not great, but in this kind of format, you need the removal to really slow your opponent down for you to keep gaining advantage. We'll see what happens when it comes to what the neutral rare and rare meta kind of evolves into, but I mean, it could hit a danger card, basically. If they summon a danger and you flip up the danger, it hits them. If they Kaiju you and then they special summon a Kaiju of their own, you flip Horn of Heaven and it destroys their Kaiju. So there's I think in this specific festival, it's going to have a lot more uses than people think, so it might be a little bit ahead of the game if you go ahead and craft it. It is just a rare, so, you know, you can probably find the materials for it. I like it, to be honest with you. I think it's kind of cool, and we'll kind of play with the tech. But now you're probably asking, what kind of deck can I play? And I've been scrolling through Reddit comments. I've been scrolling through YouTube comments and looking at other YouTuber videos, and there's a lot of suggestions. The main thing I think you probably will need to be a little careful of or a little bit aware of is Danger Dark World. I think Danger Dark World is going to be really, really, really scary. And here's why, really. Ogopogo and Thunderbird are level 8s. All right, if you play 3 of them, then you have access to the rank 3 engine of Draglubion, Heart Earth Dragon, and Draglion. You have access to this engine, which the rank 8 engine is really, really, really strong, especially when you add the super rares and the rare and the ultra rares into this engine. So by themselves, I mean, Draglubion is really, really good. You attach and you get Heart Earth Dragon, you know, those kind of things are strong. But then you pair the dangers that do discardings with some of the Dark World cards, which, if you're not familiar with Dark Worlds, basically every time they're discarded by a card effect, they have another effect. So, you know, the Ultra is Grapha, and then the Super is Snow, but then you also have your other Dark World effects that can kind of interact with this. So let's take a look here. We have several Dark World type cards that can just kind of interact when being discarded. So like if Silva, if this card is discarded by a card effect, special summon from the graveyard, then if this card was discarded from your hand to your graveyard by your opponent's card effect, your opponent returns exactly 2 cards from their hand to the bottom of their deck. So it's just a free special summon. So if you imagine in an instance where you activate Danger Thunderbird and you discard Silva from the Danger Thunderbird, and then you just got 2 summons for free. and you drew a card, the dangers. So I think this deck right here is actually going to be kind of scary because they're also big. They're just really strong. 2800 is pretty strong, and 2300 attack is pretty strong. And you didn't even have to commit to your normal summon. Sure, you had to hit him off of the danger, but you didn't have to commit to the normal summon at all. So you still have more things you can do. It's gonna be interesting. I think it's going to be one of the decks to be. It's going to be one of the best ones, whatever in terms of a tier list. I think it's very strong and something you want to look out for. Now, I mentioned in the beginning that there are going to be quite a few decks that Konami is going to try and alter, and Tenu is one of them. If we take a look at Tenu, which you guys better get familiar with these cards because when Sword Soul comes out, you're going to be seeing them a lot. But these Tenu cards are all about special summoning themselves. If you control no effect monsters, you just get to special summon it. So you have to have the no vanilla monsters, which is the normal border. They just get to special summon. So they can be a way to rank climb or link climb and facilitate certain plays. You could pair this probably with maybe a Crusadia engine, which is also a lot of these super rare and neutral and rare cards, except for some of their big link monsters. But it could be pretty strong in that instance where, if you open Tenus and Crusadias, they have a little bit of synergy. I'm not saying it's amazing, but they do have this bit of synergy where opening 2 of one, you special summon the Tenu, you normal summon the Crusadia, you have another Crusadia in hand, like, say, Reclesia, you can do your link plays and do some climbing. And then, Regulix is actually a pretty strong card. It gains the attack equal to the combined original attack of all the cards it points to. So if it points to one of your opponent's cards, plus a card that you control, you can get a pretty big monster and only have to commit 2 monsters to the board, and then maybe have another Crusadia in hand to continue plays. You lose out with Magius being a super rare, and Equimax and Avermax being the supers and the ultras, but Reclusia is really, really good at being generic removal as well, because it can special summon and then pop itself or another Crusadia monster to destroy another card on the field, or an opponent's card on the field. So don't count this engine out if you want to, kind of play around and see how you can link climb into different things, because this engine is actually very strong. Another engine that people are talking about and also pairing with Dangers and Dark Worlds is the Fabled engine. Most of the Fabled engine is a rare or a neutral. There's a couple supers and a couple ultras, but you could still do most of the engine itself with the rares. So, and they usually do stuff whenever they're discarded, or by discarding them, or discarding a certain number of cards. And so they have the synergy with the Dark Worlds and the Dangers. So you could see a Dark World, Fabled, Danger deck kind of being an amalgamation of things. Another thing, God, there's so many potential things here. Another one would be a rank 8 Kaiju deck with Dangers and Kaijus. Gardarla is a rare, and it's a rank 8. I mean, Radiant is a rare. It's just, you give them these smaller ones, like or I guess not necessarily super small, because Gardarla is 27 to Radiant's 28. But at the same time, you can play multiple Kaijus. You could play Jizukuru, it's a 3300. You could play Thunder King. You could play pretty much pure Kaiju without the interrupted Kaiju slumbers. You could just play Danger Kaiju with some trap cards and probably do pretty well. Because again, if you can have some kind of interruption or something to get rid of the opponent's big boss monster, just slapping a Kaiju over it, following up might be a little bit more difficult than you would expect when you're playing just certain cards, because a lot of the supers and ultras are about deck consistency and the power cards of the deck. So Danger Kaiju, Pure Kaiju, Kaiju Danger, Dark World, Idol. I mean, there's a bunch of options here. I think one thing would be cool would be pairing the Jizukuru with Cyber Dragon, the deck that I'm playing right now. A lot of the Cyber Dragon stuff is neutral, rare, or super rare. Neutral or rare. Some of the better cards are super rare, and a couple are ultra. Like the Searcher, Cyber Emergency, and of course Infinity are supers and ultras and stuff like that. Core being the best normal summon. But I did see that a lot of the Cyber Dark cards, besides Claw and Cannon, which of course are, you know, the three best ones, but they can be paired together to make a budget Cyber Dark, Cyber Dragon type deck, pairing a couple Kaijus, and you can actually have something kind of fun to play. So that is an instance, because hers and Nashter are also rares and neutrals, and hers is strong, but Nashter is very strong, and Nova is a rare. You know, this can get to 4,200 if it sacks off a Cyber Dragon by itself. So, and then Machine Dupe, I believe from when I was playing. Let's double check though. Okay, it might be a super. So you don't get Machine Dupe, which is kind of rough to having multiple Cyber Dragons, but pair it with some Kaiju stuff, because you can summon Chimeratech Fortress Dragon with this. If you did the Jizukiru, which is the machine one, and then had a Cyber Dragon, and then whoop, and you just got rid of their big monster, and now you have a monster on your field. Or even better, if you open Cyber Dragon, Jizukiru, and another Kaiju, I know that's a lot of cards, but you have 6 cards if you're going second. So Jizukiru, Cyber Dragon, and another Kaiju is you sack off one of theirs, give them a Jizukiru, special summon your own Kaiju. No, wait, that doesn't work. Never mind. Ignore me. You could technically tribute it off, but that's bad. Don't do that. Just special summon the Cyber Dragon, and then special summon the Kaiju. Let me flip that around. You want to special summon the Cyber Dragon first, and then special summon the Kaiju. Not the other way around. Please. Oh, I'm gonna get slaughtered for this one. Yes. Jizukiru, special summon Cyber Dragon, special summon the Kaiju, and then you can do your fusion monsters, and you have a big body on board that way. Another interesting archetype that was mentioned is Magispector. Konami said they might hit this, though. They might limit it because of most of it, but Kirin's banned anyway, are rares and neutrals. So see what they do. Probably don't invest in it just yet. Wait for the Forbidden and Limited list to come out, but it could be splashable a little bit. Metal Foes is another one. I believe if you don't watch MBT, you should, because he comes out with a lot of these Steal My Deck videos, and this is a budget one. Metal Foe, rare, neutral are crazy. You just miss out on like 3 cards, and 2 of them are fusions, and 1 of them is a monster. You don't actually need Metal Foes fusion, because you can do full Metal Foes fusion. So these are actually pretty good archetype. You might see this around when you're playing the game for the festival. And one of the other archetypes, 2 other archetypes, I think, one of them's kind of silly. I mentioned the Mega Monarch stuff. You could pair this with Kaijus, Dangers, Trap cards. You could pair it with the Monarch Traps and the Dino-Miscus and go first, and then interrupt your opponent, and then have these monster cards when you keep summoning all your chains and stuff. Have Needlebug Nest to send a bunch of Paleozoics to grave, and then when you activate traps, you get monsters. You can do some goofy stuff like that to have tribute fodder all the time. You could play Cyber Dragon, so if your opponent only has a monster, you have a tribute fodder. There's a lot of things there. But an old archetype that was fairly popular for a while is Yusenju's. And this archetype has been power crept, of course, but in a format like this, when most of the cards are neutrals and rares, it could have some merit, but don't necessarily count on it unless you've played it before in the past and you're very, very like, yeah, let's go, let's play Yusenju's back in the meta, baby. Could be fun. Maybe not as strong as some of the other options. Like I said, I really think Danger Kaiju is going to be one of the bigger decks to beat in the game when it comes to this. If you want to have some really cool fun, you can play Dino Mists. You lose out on Rex, and you lose out on Howling, but you have Charge, and you still have Spinos, and you still have Terran. So if you're from Duel Links and you know about Dino Mist, this is actually a pretty good deck to kind of throw together with how cheap everything is. Everything is neutral besides Spinos and Charge, and then you can kind of just play a better Duel Links version and cheaper Duel Links version as well. You just don't have the Rex or the Howling. Pretty inexpensive deck. Maybe pair it with some of the Magispector stuff. If they don't completely slaughter that engine, and then you can just, use Spinos effect to attack directly a bunch and just kill your opponent that way. But the last one, one of my personal favorites, because I played the deck for fun at a casual locals, is Vampires. Now you don't get the Xyz monsters. You don't get Sucker, you don't get Crimson Knight, and you don't get Sheridan. But you also don't get their trap cards. You still get really, really funny cards with the Familiar, the Retainer, you get Old School Lord, and you get Grace and Vamp, along with Scarlet Scourge and Red Baron. So there could be some stuff there. It's not going to be great, but it's going to be funny. And so maybe pairing this with some of the other stuff, like the Splashable Danger engine, or maybe even a little bit of some Fabled engine or something that kind of gives you some more special summons, things like that, would be kind of fun to just toy around with. Because that's the whole point, is deck diversity is going to be pretty large when it comes to this kind of game event where the power cards are gone. And you're really going to notice that the power cards really do add a lot to a deck and a format. But these are just some of the ideas I had. If you have more ideas and more crafting in your mind, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you're going to play. Tell me your idea. I would love to hear from people. I want to see, like I said, I'm probably going to be playing Danger Dark World with some Kaiju. Or I'm going to play Danger Kaiju rank 8s, because I think that deck is super fun. I've played it before, so I think it'll be great. So just leave a comment down below if you like this video. Please leave a like and a subscribe. It really helps the channel. I put out content daily. We do deck videos, we do events, we do Duel Live stuff. We have a lot of fun on the channel, at least I do. And it would be just wonderful to help kind of boost the channel signal a bit. That's all I got for you guys. Tell me what you're going to play. Happy dueling, everybody.